name is Tiger Whitehead, and I was born in the wilderness of Carter County, Tennessee in 1819. I was the first generation of my family born in this remote region. There were no roads in or out of this section. Instead, my pa had first arrived here by traveling over the Great Iron Mountain, by following a creek up the North Carolina side and then down the Tennessee side before settling in a small valley nestled in the shadow of Roan Mountain. When he first laid eyes on it, he said it reminded him of the Garden of Eden. So it was here we settled next to a crystal clear stream. Wild game was abundant. No white men had ever hunted this section before. Every wild beast imaginable roamed free, just as they had for thousands of years. Now Paul, he was a true pioneer in every sense of the word. The only thing he feared was the Lord. He spent his days teaching me how to hunt, how to track animals, and how to train a good hunting dog. For us, our dogs were just like family members. We depended on them as much as we did our old hog-killing rifle. You see, hunting was in our blood. It was our only means of survival as we roamed the virgin forest, dominated by massive chestnut trees and awe-inspiring waterfalls. Our bear hunts would last for weeks at a time. We barely had any neighbors, and we didn't even know what money was. But for us, it was truly heaven on earth. So it was. I spent my entire youth surrounded by an endless forest, and I learned my hunting skills in the same manner as Daniel Boone did before me. And by the time I was a teen, I had already began to make a name for myself as an expert hunter. Even amongst the old-timers, I began to push deeper and deeper into the remote areas in search of the most elusive bears. Heck, I had already killed nearly 20 bears on my own before I was 18 years old. It was on one of these hunting trips into an area that the old-timers called No Man's Land that I came across an animal that I'd never seen before, one that was thought not to exist at all. It had the most exotic fur I'd ever seen. At first, I thought it was some sort of panther, since these mountains were full of them. But no, this was something completely different. It moved with a stealth, cat-like quickness and the power of an angry mama bear. I had tracked the animal for a solid 3 days, only getting glimpses of it as it laid on some distant rock bridge, or just as it disappeared over the hillside. It was unlike any animal I'd ever tracked before. And on the morning of the 4th day, just before the sun rose, I heard a strange growl. And then my best dog, Coy, started whining like I had never heard before. An eerie feeling set in. I had a strong feeling that we were being watched, and it turns out the animal was actually tracking us, waiting for the perfect moment to ambush us. Last night's fire was gone, and our camp was in complete darkness, when suddenly, all hell broke loose as the beast lunged from the trees and attacked Coy with savage paws. He ripped mightily into the dog's torso, and each time, Coy would let out a violent cry. It was dark, so dark I couldn't get a clear shot, and I couldn't take a chance on accidentally shooting my faithful dog. I had no choice. This animal was gonna kill him if I didn't do something quick. I opened my knife, and I charged towards the beast. With a powerful thrust, I stabbed the creature in his stomach. But the blow wasn't lethal, and the animal turned towards me with rage in his eyes. I tried to make a run for it, but within 3 steps, the predator had caught me and bit into my leg. Frantically, I swung my blade over and over, stabbing at the beast. Just then, Coy, who was badly wounded, rejoined the fight, diverting the wild animal away from me, and the beast pinned Coy to the ground. And I knew he was about to go for his neck. There was no time to think. I just dove on the animal's back and sank my blade deep into his throat. A savage roar sounded as the animal staggered for a few moments before falling to the ground. It had been a hell of a battle of hand-to-hand combat, and I spent the morning tending to Coy's wounds and wrapping my leg to stop the bleeding. And once the sun peeped over the ridge, I began to examine the unknown beast. It was golden, with black stripes and massive teeth. I had no idea what it was, but its fur was sure to fetch a lot of attention at the trading post down in the valley. A few weeks later, Coy and I had healed up pretty good, and we took the animal hide down to Bristol, where it became the talk of the town. Turns out, the animal was a tiger that had escaped from a traveling circus over in North Carolina. It had been roaming the mountains for nearly 2 years, killing families' milk cows and chickens, when I killed it with my bare hands and a hunting knife. From that day on, everyone called me Tiger, and the name stuck, and I proudly carried it with me for the rest of my life. Now ain't that something? Can you imagine fighting a tiger with only a knife? Well, Tiger Whitehead ended up marrying a woman named Sally Garland, and they built a cabin and a grist mill on the same creek that Tiger's father had followed years ago across the mountains from North Carolina into Tennessee. Tiger's legend continued to grow as his bear total passed 40, then 50, and then 60. On one hunt, his faithful dog Coy treed a bear, and Tiger fired his last bullet from his trusty muzzle loader. But all it did was make the bear mad, who proceeded to drop out of the tree and cornered Tiger on a rock ledge. Without even thinking, Tiger thrust the barrel of his weapon into the open mouth of the bear and began stabbing it with his knife until the animal gave up the attack. Newspapers across America began to hail him as the greatest bear hunter in American history. With all these wagging tongues, soon there was hunters from outside of Appalachia who began making hunting trips to Tiger's hunting grounds. While Tiger himself spent his life only killing animals to feed his family, these new hunters were simply killing for the thrill. Many times they would orphan bear cubs. And once, when Sally was nursing her own child, Tiger brought 2 orphan bear cubs that he found in the woods, and Sally nursed them until they were able to fend for themselves. Another time, she did the same thing for an orphan fawn. To say the least, she was quite a woman. And old Tiger spent his entire life in these mountains of Carter County. And as he entered the twilight years of his 80s, he had killed 99 bears during his lifetime. Yet, by now, his eyesight had grew dim, and his health was quickly failing him. At the same time, all of Tiger's friends wanted him to have the record for 100 bears before he met his maker. So much so that as old Tiger was laying on his deathbed, his 2 best friends brought in a bear cub to his bedside for their friend to reach 100. Yet, Tiger refused, saying he would never kill a captured animal, and he would only do it to feed his family. And with that, Tiger Whitehead, the greatest bear hunter in Appalachia, passed on. Today, most folks have never heard of him, and his story has been nearly forgotten. But if you ever find yourself riding the back roads and you stumble upon Tiger Creek Road next to Tiger Creek that runs through Tiger Valley, pull over to the side of the road and head up to Tiger Whitehead Cemetery, where the first tombstone you will see reads, "Here lays the noted hunter James T. Whitehead, born 1819 and died 1905, killed 99 bears. We hope he has gone to rest." And right beside him, you'll see Sally's stone, which reads, "Here lays Sally Garland, not only a mother to the human race, but to all animal kind, as she gave nurse to 1 fawn and 2 cubs from her breast." I like to think that old Coy is laying nearby too. And now, my friends, you know the rest of the story. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more true stories on Appalachia's past.